will now introduce Ross Lesson 50. 50.1, Temporal Clauses. Hebrew can create temporal clauses in several ways, and these and other temporal clauses are further explained in advanced grammars like Watke O'Connor or Juron. Temporal clauses can occur in, among other ways, is by having a temporal preposition plus an infinitive construct plus a subjective genitive, though it can frequently be objective, forming an adverbial clause. So in Genesis 3:5, you have the following: Bayom kolken mimenu, literally in the day of, and then you have a infinitive construct plus pronominal suffix kem, you masculine plural, in the day of your eating, mimenu, from it, but it means when you eat from it. So again, you have preposition, basically a temporal preposition, ba or ka will work, followed by an infinitive construct can be one way of forming a temporal clause. A clause introduced by ki can also be temporal. Ki has many translations. As we saw back at 42.3, it listed some of them. It can be causal, it can be temporal, it can introduce indirect quotation, in which case I know that, and it can be adversative, translated but. So there's quite a variety of ways that ki can be translated, but one of them is temporal. And so in Genesis 12:12, Vehaya ki yeru otak ham mitzrim. And it will come to pass, the Vehaya, which could be just not translated at all, which is what Ross chooses to do. But then the ki can be translated when the Egyptians, Mitzrim, see you. When the Egyptians see you. And ki in this context can be translated when. Although just looking at this part of it, I would be tempted to say, and will come to pass that the Egyptians will see you, but contextually when works better. Sometimes the juxtaposition of verbal clauses can have the sense of temporalness. So in Genesis 3:6, vat tere ha'isha ... tikach. And the woman saw, and I think it goes on to say that she saw that the tree was good for food and so forth. She saw and she ate. But the first clause could be taken as a temporal clause. When she saw, then she took of the fruit, and then it goes on to say that she ate. So you can have syntactical relationships where one verbal clause is considered to be dependent and therefore can be translated as a dependent clause. And then a fourth way, a noun clause introduced with a temporal indicator, such as paterum, plus a prefix verb can serve this function. So the example is from Genesis 2:5. V'kol siach ha-sadeh terem yihyeh. And as for any sprouting of the field, it was before it was, or something like that. And so again, the terum would be translated before and give a temporal clause. It's kind of awkward syntax in this particular example, but anyway, wherever you have terum or baterum, you're likely to have a temporal clause. Some other usages or special usages of preposition la. Besides the translation to or for, that's the most common translation, preposition la has several translation values that express direction, termination, advantage, or indirect object. And again, advanced grammars provide even more complex lists of the usage of this preposition, but here are at least a few more of them to learn for now. Agent after a passive verb. Baruch Abram El Elyon. Blessed be Abram with regard to El Elyon, or God Most High. And here, with regard to can be translated actually by. It's the agent of the passive participle Baruch, blessed or blessed. Abram be blessed by God Most High. It can be reflexive. God tells Abraham, Leka, go for yourself to the land I'm going to show you, Genesis 12 and verse 1. And so here it's reflexive, emphasizing the subject of the action. So you have the imperative form, lek, from halak, to go, or to walk. And so there's already a you in there, but you add the leka to emphasize the you, go for yourself, get you out. Holman translates it, go out from your land. It doesn't bother to translate the leka, but insofar as you would translate it, it would be reflexive, go for yourself, but it emphasizes the you. Possessive. It can refer to to whom someone or something belongs. Vayahi lo zon, and there was to him sheep, but it means he had sheep. There actually isn't a usual verb in Hebrew that means to have something, but if you want to say that someone has something, you tend to use this formulation. There was to him, or you can use yesh, there is to him, or ain, there is not to him, but that's the formulation that you would use. Another usage is norm, in which case it can be translated according to. Here you have eitz peri, osei peri le mino. The tree of fruit, the fruit tree, makes fruit, peri, le mino, after its own kind. Or actually, I'll just translate the participle as a dependent clause. The fruit trees bearing fruit according to their kind. And again, it's expressing a norm of according to in this case. You have the Llamad of result or product. And here you have E'ezka goy gadol. I will make you, and then goy gadol is a great nation. I will make you into a great nation. Or you could even translate it with this result or product. You can translate it to be. I will make you to be a great nation. But that's a Llamad of result or product. Sometimes you get a Llamad for a direct object. You actually get this quite often in Aramaic, if you ever study biblical Aramaic. But it does occur with certain formulations in Hebrew. Yikra Elohim Laor Yom. God called, direct object marker La, the light, or day. He called, he named with respect to the light, the name day. Anyway, with a verb like kara, the la can indicate the direct object marker. Again, it's just with certain verbs that this would happen. And then you have authorship. You have tefillah lahabakuk, a prayer with regard to Habakkuk, but it means a prayer of Habakkuk, a prayer belonging to Habakkuk because he wrote it. He's the author of it. This is the clear example of Llamad of authorship in Habakkuk 3:1 that justifies the claim that La David in the Psalms probably means of David in the sense of Davidic authorship of the Psalms that have La David attached. And finally here we'll do some special usages of the plural. The Hebrew uses the grammatical plural form in several ways other than simply to indicate plurality. It's important that the reader understand these when translating and interpreting. So, for example, the word face, panim, is literally faces. That's what it looks like from the plural form. One wonders if it wasn't originally panayim, a dual form, talking about the two halves of the face. But anyway, face is always plural, and so you don't translate it plural. You have another one like that, shemayim, that's always plural, heaven or sky. If it sounds good in English, translate it plural, but if it doesn't sound good in English, translate it singular. Then you have the word hayim, life, or a lifetime with its various times is one way of thinking about that. I would probably categorize this as the next category, plural of abstraction. But then abstract qualities. So you have the word virgin, batulah, but then you have a plural form, batulim, and it means virginity as an abstraction. And then you have kippur, to make atonement, but then you have a plural form, noun, kippurim, atonement. May include various acts that make up atonement, but nonetheless it's a plural that forms an abstraction. You have the Yom Kippurim, the Day of Atonement, that uses that form. And then you also have the plural of essence, described by various names such as majesty or excellence. The most common one is Elohim, that when it refers to the one true God, you will translate it God, but nonetheless it's plural in form. And this is usually understood as a plural of majesty, as in the royal we of the Queen of England. We are not amused, meaning I am not amused. So you can have a royal we kind of thing, a plural of majesty in that respect. And this will intensify the singular. You also have the form Adonai, which is literally my Lord's plural, but it means my Lord, but then it's usually just translated Lord. Teraphim is also used in the plural, but it means a singular idol, or probably what a teraphim really is an image of the ancestors, kind of like ancestor worship. These are sometimes used of people rather than just God. Adonim, lords, is used of masters and of human kings. Talk to you later.